All right, I'll admit it. I may have underestimated Scylla. Yo, what is going on, my fellow weebs? Chrono here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Mars in general, but mostly going to talk about Scylla and how I think it might be the best choice to take into the solo fight that we'll be getting next week. But before we jump to that, if you're new here, as always, my name is Chrono. I'm familiar cover PSO2 content. Would much appreciate a subscribe as we work our way towards that 10K mark, hopefully by the end of this year. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this. All right, I admit it. You guys got me. I didn't really believe in Scylla being all that powerful, and in my defense, to be honest, we didn't have a whole lot of content that really required you to fight the boss while in Mars all that much. In most fights, you just kind of jumped into your Mars and pre-fired or pre-casted a what's it called, a Hydra termination. I want to say a Hydra termination, basically a termination cannon. Usually that's all you really did, and then you just hopped out of it really quick. So my defense just haven't been there yet. And after we got the change for Scylla that apparently kind of nerfed part of its gameplay, I started to want to keep a closer eye on it. And after some people have posted over on Twitter, as well as some people jumped in my chat and just mentioned it, and we've also of course had this most recent LTQ where I've had moments now where I'm actually losing threat to other players. We can kind of look into and find out what exactly is going on. I did a bit of testing, and what I found was that with almost zero effort, Scylla slaps. So we're going to talk about why I think it probably is your best choice for which Mars to take into the solo fight that's coming out next week. Now, my usual combination that I tend to like the most is actually Garm Nidhogg. And I believe it actually might be the weakest combination, or if it is stronger, it probably requires the most from the player to get that strength. The reason behind it is, of course, of Garm and Nidhogg, they negate damage coming towards them. They use guard frames, which if you have to rely on guard frames for counter damage, you tend to also need to have a very active boss fight, which you know fairly well. So I imagine in those situations, Garm Nidhogg could actually perform pretty well. However, it's not what we're going to be going into, and honestly, I feel like you could just put in less effort and get about the same reward from it. So, taking a look at the combination we're using here, I've actually been using Scylla Hydra, and honestly, you could actually just drop all of those points and just do this and mostly play Scylla, which would give you an extra 4 points to utilize for you to put into something else, like for example, offensive PP recovery. The reason why this is so important is actually for Scylla's overall gameplay. Like I mentioned, it doesn't really require you to try all that hard to accomplish. And in all my testing, I didn't find a situation where any other combination did as much damage, to be honest. And I also want to kind of mention this really quick here while I was looking at this. I would highly recommend removing these skills while playing. You could probably get away with quick evade, maybe, in the solo fight, keeping in mind you're going to have threat the entire time. So the target's going to be coming towards you, which is probably going to put a little bit of a damper on your Scylla annihilations and making sure you maintain enough start link. But at the end of the day, I would say definitely get rid of forward thrust and vertical thrust. I don't see any situations where you would need either one of those. Quick evade is kind of like a maybe where you could hold on to it if you want to, but you really don't want to be using any of those evades to maintain as high a star link as possible. Now, if you end up being someone who's playing mostly Hydra, or a combination that I'm going to show here in a second, you may want to opt to go with Fenrir, as Fenrir is going to provide you an extra counter attack whenever you step counter. And step countering kind of works with Hydra where it doesn't really work with any of the other weapons. As far as what I'm going to be showing off, or what I think is kind of like the de facto better choice to go with overall, it's mostly going to be this. So you're mostly going to be Scylla, and then the most you need in Hydra is maybe Hydra extended time just for Hydra termination, and that's really about it. The whole game plan that you're going to be doing is using Scylla, like I'm going to show you here in just a moment, and then you're going to be using Hydra just for whenever your boss is downed for an immediate charge up to smash them with termination. All right, so here we are on the quest. Now, I'm up here against this Crag Bear. I've got 100%. In case you're curious, like, how do you get in here? It's just in the quest counter under trigger quests. the Mars quest is still here for you. It will continue to test stuff, and I believe it's going to remain here until they change it, actually. So kudos to them. They're actually looking at updating this. So pretty happy to hear that. So we're going to just jump into Scylla. And all we're going to do is we're going to do Meteor Ride. I'm going to be locked on as well. Let go of Meteor Ride and just spam our 3 normals. And then Meteor Ride again, just for a little bit. And then we can spam our normals again. The idea is that we don't want to run out of PP where we're stuck spamming our normals past those 3 buffed normals. And that's pretty much it. This is the entire gameplay loop. And then when it's full, we of course want to go into our Starlink. Or sorry, what is this? This is Hydra, our Scylla Annihilation, I believe. And then back into this and repeat. And you'll see the damage is kind of nutty. Doesn't really require a whole lot from you. Doesn't require you to play perfectly. Doesn't require you to counter everything. And all you're doing is spamming these Scylla Annihilations. And because you're effectively not getting hit is the idea here, you should be able to very easily maintain your Starlink. Now, if you're in a situation where, let's say, for example, you can't get out of the way of something, you're in your normal attacks, you can hold normal to get a little bit of an evasive attack there. In those situations, you want to go right back into here, into your attack itself. You don't really want a normal attack past those normals that they give you, those 3 boosted normals, and that's it. And you want to maintain just enough PP to be able to jump back into your board ride over and over again. And this is basically your overall gameplay loop. And that's it. You don't have to do anything fancy. You don't have to counter a bunch of stuff. This is actually really strong. You can see we already killed our Crag Bear. We did about, between 20 to 18k DPS. And if you play it better than I do, like if I shut up here and just sit here and play instead of, talking through it with you guys, you'll find that you usually do quite a bit of damage overall. I forgot to lock on again. And of course, get the normals in. And as soon as the Annihilation pops up, you want to go for it immediately. I can see why they nerfed specifically this playstyle, because if you could cancel that initial burst and just stay going into this this PA over and over again, I feel like it'd be kind of insane. And this is probably what people were doing and what they were talking about, getting damage that wasn't intended, essentially. Because I can see how this would do a ton of damage if you were able to cancel it right there. You could just continuously get your buff and do a ton more damage. And that's it. That's the entire process. That's the entire gameplay loop. Now, there is something to be said about a different gameplay style, and I'm going to go ahead and explain that here really quick. Give me 1 second to make a couple adjustments. All right, so we switch things around a little bit here. So I'm going to talk about what the idea is of what we're going to be going for. I'm going to try to talk through it as I do it, but talking and playing at the same time tends to be a bit difficult for me sometimes. So essentially what we're going to be doing is, instead of going for those 3 normal attacks, we're going to go for a board ride and completely drain all of our PP. Reason for it is because Hydra has a mechanic where if you are at 0 PP or very, very low PP and you use your normal attack, you immediately get the quick laser that will allow you to then reload with the weapon action and then move immediately into the max speed normal shots. And we're going to repeat that all the way through until we get to the what is it? The penta shot, basically the penta laser shot, and immediately go back into our board ride. Now, the benefit to this is, first and foremost, you are able to deal with incoming damage a bit better because you can actually sidestep things while you're in Hydra for counter damage. You want to take Fenrir in that situation instead of having Lindworm. Lindworm was what we used previously because we weren't really trying to counter anything. We actively didn't want to sidestep. But what you're going to find out is you do get a lot less Scylla Annihilations because you're not actively using its normal attack nearly as much. You're also going to find that you put yourself in position to have to step counter things, as you're not able to move nearly as fast with Hydra as you are evasive with Scylla. So you will have to step counter, meaning you will have less Starlink, meaning you'll use less Annihilations. However, over the course of the fight, those counters will help you push yourself higher. And if you're if you're able to step counter a lot of incoming damage, you may be able to push yourself even past the amount of damage we're able to do this time around. But unfortunately, I'm not that great at it, and it's way harder to do than it is to just hold down the PA, let go, and do some normal attacks in between just to kind of weave back and forth. But you might find this is a little bit easier for you, or maybe you just really like Hydra and you're trying to find a way to use it. So this is kind of how this would work out. So we're going to go ahead and use our board. We want to go ahead and drain all of our PP, so we're just going to keep on going all the way to empty, and then normal, reload, and immediately go into full charge. And just do the usual Hydra thing here. 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to go back into our board. Now we're going to do less damage here, just primarily because we don't have Linworm. Since we're not, of course, step countering, we're not getting that counter damage. 3, 4, 5. And then immediately into this. Oh, we do have this, so we can go ahead and burn this. Our Annihilation. But you can see we do have a bit less damage. Overall, you're going to do a good amount of damage, but you are going to do a bit less. But I believe this might be better for those of you guys who might find it difficult to deal with the incoming damage. Also, if you mess up the max charge, pretty bad. 3, 4, 5. You also know situations where I feel like you kind of like waste PP and you can't really control it all that well. But you don't want to sit on resources too long. But yeah, you can see the damage is about equal, and you tend to push ahead a bit more with being able to step counter things. And this last one, we'll just let it rock all the way through. There we go. Now it's going to depend on the playstyle of the individual, as well as the weapon you prefer to use and the monsters you're going up against. But I personally think Scylla is just easy. It's basically easy mode overall. You don't have to worry about step counter or anything. You can just kind of weave your way in and out of damage. It's built for high mobility where you don't have to step, like you're not using the step counter mobility or anything along those lines. All you're using realistically is just moving around your target, either kiting them back, kiting to the side, whatever it happens to be. You're able to get that taken care of, and you can do it from a very safe place. On top of that, when you have Starlink up to 3 stacks, you no longer have to worry about taking damage, because while you're in Annihilation, you're completely invulnerable to damage, and you get a lot of them if you're just playing Scylla. So hopefully that helps out someone out there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What weapon you primarily want to use going into the new fight. I guess we can use it as our question of the day. What is the weapon that you're looking to take into the new fight, the solo fight that'll be coming out next week? Either way, like if you enjoyed the video, so if you want to keep up with more. As always, thanks to channel members. You guys are fantastic, and I appreciate every single one of you. We'll see you all next time. Take care, my friends. Peace out.